It's no doubt infuriating for countless cash-strapped South Africans who work long hours every week to pay their bills only for their basic services like water and electricity to be shut off for large parts of the day. Something's got to give. Barry Bateman, I beg your pardon, has been investigating this recurring theme. Barry, which communities have you been looking at?
Well, I'm out here in North Riding near Randburg on the street of Bel Airs, which is the main road that runs through this community. Now, it's quite a densely populated area. There's a lot of these complexes, and I think that's part of the problem that this community has experienced. And it's a historical issue, but we can just look at what happens in the last couple of days. We had the announcement of load shedding, but this was compounded by additional problems of power outages, where we had people, you would be out without power for 9 hours of the day, and then you would still be hit with load shedding at the end of the day. But with me to tell me more about this particular issue, well, this just gives you an example of the problem that's being experienced here. It's load shedding at the moment. We're at a main intersection, the lights are down, and you've got frustrated motorists who are trying to navigate their way to do their business for the day. With me today is the ward councillor for the area, Mr. Cele. And Mr. Cele, let's just first start off. How much of a historical problem is it in this particular community, both with water and electricity?
Good morning, Barry, and good morning to the eNCA viewers. With regards to power issues, it's a historical issue. It's because of many years of neglect, less investment in the infrastructure. That's why we are sitting here today with power outages. And then this is also compounded by load shedding and cable theft and vandalism. With regards to water outages, right where we are standing right here, there was a huge major 600 millimeter water pipe burst that was fixed about 3 weeks ago, and then it compounded because it was not properly fixed and it was still leaking, and then it leaked again, and then Joburg Water had to shut down the water that affected this entire community here.
If it is a historical issue, it's been known for years and it is recurring, why hasn't it been sorted out? Because the impression I get from the people I've spoken to is that every time there's a power outage, there's a band-aid that is stuck on the issue, and within weeks or even days, we're back to square one, and people are left without power for days on end.
Yeah. Barry, the reality is that City Power has actually failed the residents in North Riding. It is unacceptable that the rate-paying residents of this area in North Riding are not receiving the services they pay for. You know, so City Power has failed completely to make sure that there is uninterrupted power supply in this area. The only thing that we are receiving is basically excuses, which an utter display of poor management from City Power in terms of...
Sorry, Dalu, let me just interrupt you. As the representative for this community, what have you done to hold City Power accountable?
I'll give you an example, Barry. On Saturday, the residents were out here with the power outage the whole day. And then, as a councillor, so they escalated the issues to me. I was inundated with calls, with texts. And then what we normally do, we escalate that to the City Power Randburg depot. And then for the officials and the managers to respond to us to say, this is the issue, and then what needs to be done. I can tell you now and confirm that on Saturday there was no response from City Power the whole day into the evening, up until such time that I spoke to the executive mayor to say, what is going on here? Can you help to assist? With no avail. They only restored power the following day on a Sunday morning. We've done a lot of interventions as a councillor myself to engage with City Power, to ask for reports to say, okay, we know there's a Houtkoppen substation right here that is not coping with the load, because in this area there's a lot of new developments, people have moved in, but the infrastructure hasn't been able to cope with that increased population here.
So what then is the solution, Dalu? Sorry, we just pressed for time. What then is the solution?
The solution is to have proper management that is able to run City Power adequately. We need to make sure that there's enough material at stores to be able to deal with the power outages. For example, City Power was saying there's no mini-subs to be able to assist in resolving the power outages. And the other thing, Barry, which is the most important one, is the investment in the infrastructure and the maintenance thereof.
Thank you very much. Dalu Tele there. He is the ward councillor for this area in North Riding. Looking at the solutions there, you need greater infrastructure, better management. And we know from historical aspects, not just here, but elsewhere in municipalities around the country, that these are not quick fixes. And we've got a community here which is sick and tired. I suppose the question is, how long before they take to the streets like many other communities in this country do?
Yeah, it seems like that might be the only option, is to go out on the street and make sure your voice is heard. Barry, thank you so much for bringing us that story. Barry